everybody, to Amalgamation Nation, the AM Nation pod. It is Tuesday, April 20th, 4/20. Hope everyone's celebrating the holidays a very nice way tonight. It's also a big day because Derek Chauvin was found guilty of murdering George Floyd, so the justice system prevailed. That was good, but that's just the first step, but glad that that was able to happen today on such a great day. We've got a lot to get into here on the sports show tonight because it obviously is Tuesday. It's Sports Talk Tuesday here at AM Nation Pod, including everything going on with the Super League. It is intense, and our man BK is ready. He is locked and loaded to take us to the pitch tonight. As soon as I saw it happen and started breaking down on Sunday night, I immediately was like, oh, wow, BK's going to be busy this week. Like I'm already well aware of it. Of course, you can find the show on Twitter and Instagram. It's at AM Nation Pod. Make sure you hit that follow button. On YouTube, search Amalgamation Nation and hit that sub button. You can listen on podcast platforms of choice such as Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and more. While you're there, make sure you follow us, leave a review, all that good stuff. If you're looking for merch, it's teesprings.com/stores/amnation-undead Red Bull. Find it down below in the podcast description. You can also find it on twitch.tv/undead Red Bull and David's description as well. While there, make sure you give David a follow and a sub too. If you have Amazon Prime, you get a free sub a month, so give it to Undead Red Bull. We usually stream with him on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tonight, though, he is at the Friendly Confines in Wrigley, and he's having a good time, freezing his ass off watching the Cubs. I am sure of that. I know when he got the tickets, he was super excited. Then as he saw there was snow, I'm sure he was like, ooh, this kind of sucks. Of course, if you want to be a part of any of the shows, you can leave a voicemail or text the show, 815-556-9089. Comments, questions, all that good stuff, send them that way. And I am the anime watching booze, cruising Olivia Munn's liking John Cena's following hostess with the mostest himself, Ryan Green Machine Ebner, and I am joined by, from North Carolina, Brendan BK Kennerly. BK, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. We got some little new additions to the farm over the weekend. We got some ducklings, so we've been taking. I just added some to the notes there.
Oh.
I'm just gonna keep doing it.
Do it. Just keep going. Just keep doing it.
But yeah, we got little duckies. Just been taking care of them. Got a little heat lamp for them and all that stuff like that. So probably be posting more content with them going forward. They're cute. They're only like a week old.
Oh, well, that is fantastic. Little new additions to the farm down there. That's so cute. Hey, Melissa, welcome to the chat. How are you? And rounding out the crew this evening, Pete Tahiti Argus. Pete, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. I mean, it's basically winter here in Cleveland. We don't have the snow yet, but the snow is going to be coming. Very scared of it. But BK, to your new additions that you do have you and the wife had any names yet for the new additions to the Kennerly family?
Obviously. So we got 3. We won't know the sex of them for another 6 weeks or so until they start quacking, and the difference in the quacks is how you tell the difference between a male and female. But we got 3 for one obvious reason. It's a fantastic Disney franchise. DuckTales, woo!
Oh, yeah.
Huey, in theory, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. But if there is a girl in there, because we do want a female because we want eggs from them, obviously, her name would be Webby or Webigail. And then also, so if there happens to be two girls, there'll be one called Gordy, short for Gordon Bombay, coach of the Mighty Ducks.
Holy shit!
Man.
Oh,
I got them figured out, man.
All right.
Frank says,
not even all the chickens have names. Not even all the chickens. Only 4 of them.
I love it. I love DuckTales. That's fantastic. Things are going to be a little different on the show today. Usually the second step is BK taking us to the pitch. But this time, since everything going on in the Super League is so packed, we will save that for the end of the show. So you stick around and find out when BK takes us to the pitch. But let's start with the NHL. Cross-checking with the 2-time crotch champ. One of the coolest things I saw, Minooka, Illinois' own Tanner Lazinskin debuted for the Flyers. It's the first player from the area to make it to the NHL. That's pretty fucking cool. I was really hoping Dave was going to be here when he saw that, because I was like, dude, Minooka, what's up? Pride. Shout out to Junior. I thought maybe he'd be the first one to play in the NHL, but unfortunately they didn't have hockey back then. So Here we are.
Just Junior grew up skating with Gordie Howe. That's what it was.
He sure.
Him and Gordy, man.
That sure did. That was a great segue. I think San Jose Sharks forward Patrick Marleau just passed Gordie Howe for most played games all time at 1,768. Patrick Marleau is 41 years young and has played. It's almost as old as Junior and has played in the NHL for 23 seasons. Gordie Howe previously set the record through 26 seasons, and he retired at age 51. That is a long time to play hockey. Let me tell you.
I think he did less games a year then too. Like it's just nuts. And he didn't wear a helmet or anything.
Straight up dome damage.
Don't care.
Straight up dome damage. That is tough. And over there from the Caps, Alex Ovechkin looks to pass Marcel Dion at number 5 on all-time goals list with 730 goals Thursday night against the Isles. Nice, dude. Hell yeah. Fucking kicking ass.
Best cap ever.
Of course. Nothing much on the Hawk side. Honestly, didn't even want to get into it. There's way too much. And I was like, I'm not even wasting my time. Just like there's no Bulls talk either, but we can still do some NBA talk here. LaMarcus Aldridge announced his retirement after playing with an irregular heartbeat. I will say this. Pete, was that? No. I don't think that was the weekend you were here. I think it was the following week.
No.
Yeah, when I was sitting there with everybody and we were talking about the Nets, and then like the next day on sports talk radio and all that, they were ripping the shit out of the Nets, right, for all these players sitting. And one of them they ripped was LaMarcus Aldridge, and then like later that day he retired for the regular heartbeat. I'm like, oh, you guys are a bunch of assholes. A bunch of assholes. Yeah, so LaMarcus Aldridge, that's some scary shit, man. He was out there playing with a regular heartbeat, didn't know it. That is terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, whenever I think of LaMarcus Aldridge, Ryan, I always bring up just the trade, the 2 seconds that he was a Bull and we traded Tyrese Thomas. Like, and, props to LaMarcus Aldridge, Hall of Fame career, great player. It's sad for him to go out like this because, that would have been so cool, if he did get a ring or a chance to, possibly play in the finals. That would have been cool. But, that's brutal.
100%. I wonder if he goes in as a Bull. Totally should.
Definitely. First team that called his name.
Babe should do it. This would be sweet. Michael Jordan is going to induct Kobe Bryant into the Hall of Fame. Vanessa, and then on top of that, with more Kobe Bryant news, was Vanessa and Kobe Bryant estate elect to not renew their partnership with Nike after Nike not offering enough kid sizes and doing limited runs of Kobe's shoes. The estate owns the quote Mamba logo and can negotiate a new home shortly. Of course, yeah, fuck you, Nike. Tough. I do have a pair of Kobe's somewhere that are probably a little bit beat up now, so now I'm gonna probably need more Kobe's wherever they go next. Gonna need them. Shout out to you. BK, that was definitely you that put the "fuck you" Nike part, right?
Absolutely.
That screams BK.
It did. I was like,
I whenever I try to make notes, I always try to make it obvious that I put it in there. I always try to add my little flair.
Pizzazz he puts in there. Oh yeah. Let's see. Let's just get weird. Let's do NFL talk too. Let's do that. The Bucks, the Lions, the Broncos, the Seahawks, the Packers so far, and there's more, will not be participating in voluntary workouts due to the ongoing pandemic. The NFLPA president urging players not to attend. Just get the vaccine. This is what we talked about last week with baseball. It's just just get the vaccine, bro. I don't understand. I don't know why we're going through this. Whatever. At this point, the PA was just like, listen, they're making you all play an extra game too, so fuck them. That's basically where they're at right now. Javanian Clowney does sign a 1-year, $10 million deal with Cleveland. Pete, is the land excited or what?
Honestly, I thought about it. It's so much boom or bust with him. I think Clowney is going to be good with the Browns if they get the right Clowney. He's not a number one. He's not a number one rusher. He needs another guy around him. He did super well when he had J.J. Watt on the other side. You clearly saw last year he struggled with Tennessee when he was the main guy. He didn't really play that well in Seattle. For the Browns, this is a good deal. It's 1 year, $10 million. If he sucks, you're not on the hook for a couple of years with Clowney. So it's a win-win, I think, for both sides. And you got to think the NFL, that salary cap's only going to go up next year. So Clowney's got a chance. Hey, if he does well this year, get a bigger payday. I think it's a win-win there on both sides.
Yeah, I think that's why you're seeing a lot of players sign 1-year deals this offseason, just because they know the money's about to go up. BK, are you excited for Lamar to have to run around from Clowney and Myles Garrett?
I'm ready for Lamar to make Clowney look like a fool.
Oh, shit, he's going to make him look like a clown, bro. Make him look like...
Clowning.
Oh, man. Sticking with the AFC North, the Bengals released a hype video showcasing their new uniforms for the upcoming season with an appearance by the man, Ocho Cinco himself, Chad Johnson. Fantastic. I saw someone like, they really are the Chicago Bears of the AFC North. It is great. With the
oh, man.
I never saw that. That's really good.
Wait, hold on. There is a difference, though. Cincinnati still does not have an indoor practice facility. So at least the Bears got that going for them. Like, they don't have that. So
and the Bears have a Super Bowl win.
Yeah, well, yeah, that too. Yeah.
And maybe, we made the playoffs in like the last 10 years. That's always good, too.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Good point. Next week, we're going to discuss the draft strategies for our teams. Green Bay, the Bears, Baltimore, and honestly, whatever team David decides to bring to the table. I don't know. He told me he wasn't a Bears fan this year. We're going to find out. We'll get the news from him. So we'll see. Yeah, he's like, I'm done with it. I'm taking a break. I get it. We all need a break. We all sometimes need to just take a break. It's cool. I get it. Some of us, get a little tired of it. Oh, Carlos, for real, dude, it is super cold. I'll read how you said it. Está muy frío. Brr. Oh, yeah, you are correct. It is. It's real fucking cold. Real cold, Primo. Real cold. The NFL Comeback Player of the Year, Alex Smith, retired this past week. They should really just name that award the Alex Smith Award at this point. But it is. I saw that he was linked to, was it San Francisco to go back? Or somewhere just to go play a backup role. And then the next day he retired. I was like, never mind.
Yeah.
He's done. He's like, I think he just wanted to come back and show that he could. And that was about it.
Yeah. I absolutely think that was the case. And, he's got plenty of money. He's good. He was the first overall pick. So, he's fine. Financially.
And someone made a point about the first overall pick and did he live up to expectations? And then the biggest thing here with that is that when you break that down with the first pick quarterbacks taken in like the last 20 years, if you besides like a handful of them, you could say he had a better career than them, which is pretty crazy to think about. Like the last 23 taken.
Definitely better than Marcus Russell. Definitely better than him.
Oh, for sure.
Of course, better than Tim Couch. Better than Sam Bradford. The Andrew Luck one we take to the side because he retired, but no matter what, I would have said Andrew Luck probably had a better career. He was going to have a better career.
Andrew Luck was better.
Baker's better. Kyler's better. The Jared Goff one, I wouldn't take Jameis. I would take Alex Smith's career over Jameis. The Jared Goff one, though, is interesting because Jared Goff is very Alex Smith-esque in a way where, I don't think he's that good, but, it's not great.
I take Alex Smith.
Yeah.
I take Alex Smith over Jared Goff.
I would take Peyton Manning over Alex Smith as well.
That's a stretch.
Really? You would, BK. Man, way to go out on a limb.
What? Michael Vick or Alex Smith?
Michael Vick had a better on-field career than Alex Smith.
I thought so too. What about Carson Palmer?
I would take Alex Smith.
Palmer.
Ooh, tough.
We could talk about this more, fellas.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to
later on the year. So if you want to hear more about this, AM Nation fan, just hold tight. We're going to get to this in a couple months here. We're going to get into the dog days of baseball. We're going to have some quality NFL comparison content coming at you.
I can only talk about the Sox going 5-4 in a week so often. It's not even with doubleheaders, obviously. Can't play otherwise. Chris, what are we going to talk about the XFL? Bro, when it's back, dude. That's when we're going to talk about the XFL, baby.
We were talking about it last time, you know. I remember I was on this.
We sure were. Also, you can check out the People's XFL on Twitter and on podcast services for all your XFL and other football talk right there. Boom, boom, boom. And the Steelers extend Mike Tomlin to 2024. And with that, my dad, diehard Steelers fan, obviously. As soon as I saw the news, I was like, man, I bet he feels a certain type of way about this. So he did text me, and he said he wished that it would only win his contract only went as far as Ben, because he likes him, but at the same time, he hasn't won many playoff games, right? And then he said, winning the division doesn't really mean shit to him anymore at this point. It's about championships. Obviously, when you're a Steelers fan, that's exactly what it should be about. That's peak, it's like Packers. It's like, Packers win the NFC North all the time is great, but like, I'm sure, Pete, you'd like some more Super Bowls, not, you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah.
But he did say this, though. He read a stat. He has a winning record of 18-15 with QBs not named Ben Roethlisberger. The reason that is so impressive is that he's playing with guys like Landry Jones, Mason Rudolph, Mike Vick, like Philadelphia and everything.
Duck Hodges.
Charlie Bash.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
It's gross.
Yeah.
And I
understand, like, from your dad's point of view, like, from the Steelers, but, like, who do you turn to? Like, what's your solution besides Tomlin? You got to have, like, a guy in mind besides Tomlin. I mean, you talk about a guy that's been consistent. I mean, yeah, as a Packer fan, as a Steeler fan, it does suck from the standpoint of, like, oh, yeah, you just win the division, don't do anything. But you also, like, you got to take it, like, that's awesome. It's still a great season. Only one team wins it all. Like, I mean, you got to think about it from that perspective, too. So, I get it, if you could line it up with Ben, but I just don't see, who are they going to have as, like, another coach in mind? And also, the Steelers, are at a point where, like, they don't have an heir apparent for Ben. And they need to have something in place because you still have a fantastic defense. You got some pieces around you on the outside. You got to improve a little bit the offensive line. Running back obviously needs to be addressed this offseason, but, like, you still have a solid foundation. So if you can get, like, a young quarterback, especially in this draft, get someone late, develop them, I don't know. Tomlin's still a great coach. That stat is incredible. They play with crap quarterbacks. No offense to Mike Vick, but they played with crap quarterbacks there. So, yeah.
Well, it's that, and it's that also that, like, if the rest of the league, I would say, besides a handful of teams right now, if you were to have Tomlin on the market, they would all jump towards Mike Tomlin. Hell of a head coach. Absolutely fantastic head coach.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Not to mention, like, it's probably him and probably his wide receivers coaches and offensive coordinators, like a mix-up. But they just so good at developing wide receivers. He is. Like, there's something he brings to the table where they can just draft a wide receiver 4th, 5th round, and the guy's going to turn into a Pro Bowler. And the wide receiver is so featured now in this passing league that is a invaluable trait and quality to have in a coach, to coach up those wide receivers. And because, like, like the route trees and all that stuff for, like, it's a lot harder than it used to be. With all the option routes and all that stuff like that, when a wide receiver runs around now, like, there's an option for 2 or 3 different things, and where he has to read the defender and, the defense and read all the cushions and everything. He's a good coach. Fuck him, but he's a good coach.
I think that's it for NFL news. So, Petey Tahiti, I'll let you take us around the diamond, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll start off, Ryan, with Carlos Rodon pitching a no-no with 7 strikeouts, looking dominant against the Indians last week. Ryan, I know you're texting me, freaking out during the game. And it was just dominant, like his entire outing. And then for him it does suck. At the end, he had the slider that got away from him, hit Roberto Perez, and there goes the perfect game. But Ryan, what were your thoughts? How stressed were you in that 9th inning?
So we had recorded the Godzilla versus Kong show, and we had just finished, And I was like, okay. I'm like, it was getting kind of late. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go hop off. I want to get this together and throw it on there. And then I found a way, to watch the White Sox, and I threw it on. I didn't know at the time that it was on a perfect watch. I hadn't seen my phone. I didn't know any of it. And I got there at about the 7th inning, and I see the line, and I'm like, huh. And I pull up my phone, and holy shit, we got a perfect game going. I'm like, oh man. Then I got real nervous. Then, like, I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, I pushed my chair back, and I'm just like, head down. I'm like, oh man. I had the sound up enough so I could still hear through my headset, but like my headset was like sitting down. Like I was a wreck. It's somebody that when they drafted Carlos Rodon as a White Sox fan, that was supposed to be like the beginning of the rebuild, which then eventually took another like 4 years to do. But I digress. It's still, that was supposed to be the first like big piece, and Rodon, just so many injuries and stuff has plagued him his whole career, and he's still a young guy, and it couldn't have happened to someone better on the White Sox at this point. Like that was fantastic, everything. And for the Sox, like I remember when they signed him this offseason, that 1 year little deal. And at the time I wasn't mad. I was just like, hey, what else are we gonna do? Like, I think this is fine. We got a couple of options. Either A, he's going to be a nice end of the rotation piece, or B, he sucks and whatever. Like, it is what it is. You didn't spend a lot of money on him. I think that's okay. Frank, yeah, he was freaking out too. Of course. I think we all were. I think all of us White Sox fans were just sitting there like, holy shit, because we feel this connection to Carlos Rodon and everything that he's been through. I was looking all over for my camo Carlos Rodon Sox jersey. I'm pretty sure it's at David's house with a bunch of my other jerseys that I left there. So man, I wanted the perfect game so fucking bad. I wanted it bad. He looked dominant all game, and when it hit his shoe, bro, I was dropping F-bombs left and right on that man, on Perez. I was like, you piece of shit, you motherfucker. I was so fucking upset that the last perfect game we get is Philip fucking Umber, dude. Like, it's so frustrating. I wanted it to be Carlos Rodon so bad. And then BK texted me and was like, so, like, he's like, you've seen, like, what, like, a couple of no-hitters and, like, what? And I was like, well, I've seen 2 perfect games, like, 3 or 4 no-hitters now for the Sox at least in my lifetime that I can remember. And he's like, fuck you. Like, he's so
I've seen 0. I've seen this. I've seen 0 no-nos.
Oh, BK, that's gotta hurt, man. That's gotta hurt.
I was like, hey, on the bright side for you, you've seen him in person.
Oh, yeah. The Burley perfect will always be the one that will always stand out to me the most. Obviously, Dwayne Wise with the catch. Absolutely outstanding. The Philip Umber one is really funny because, like, the dude from Seattle definitely didn't break his wrist. Like, it definitely was a ball. Should have fucked up his perfect game. It is what it is. And then he goes and gets pumped for like 8 runs the next week, so it's cool. Rodon, though, coming back this week and playing against Cleveland, and last time I checked, he was pitching well again against the Tribe. So pretty dope. But yeah, I was a nervous wreck, and that's why I was texting you, just like absolutely just a wreck.
Yeah. No, and then from the standpoint of Cleveland, since we started to watch it there at the end, I was like, Molly, he's got a perfect game. We probably should put it on because we didn't have it on, and I was like, we probably should put that on. Like, I kind of want to see it. So it was like maybe the 8th inning. It was like middle of the 8th. I was like, we definitely should put this on. Like, he's got it through 8 innings. Like, for sure should have this on. So we were like watching it, and like even like Molly, the biggest like diehard Indians fan, like. It's not like as soon as Roberto got hit in the foot, she wasn't like, yeah, like wasn't like super excited. So even like she kind of knew, she's like, oh, well, that kind of stinks, for him. So, but no, I mean, all in all, obviously great job by Rodon. Currently the White Sox are up 8-3 over the Indians here in Cleveland, top of the 9th. But yeah, as you mentioned, Ryan, 20th no in Sox history, comes 5 days after Joe Musgrove through his no, which is kind of crazy. And it's kind of a theme for baseball this year. Nobody can hit. I think the major league average right now is around about 220 to 230. Like that's the average, which is insane.
Get again. There's no doubt in my mind.
Oh, you gotta do something. This is bad baseball. Like maybe the Cubs are bringing down baseball. I don't know what they're doing. But the Sox last week went 3-4, tough losses to Cleveland and Boston. They got the 2-game little set here in Cleveland, then come home for Texas and Detroit for a nice little homestand there. And then the O's week recap, they went 3-4, but they took 2 of 3 from Texas. They're in Texas, where they probably just had everybody mask off, everybody full capacity. Texas probably didn't even have full capacity, mostly because they stink. So probably wasn't even full capacity there. And then they got a 2-game series right now with Miami, and then they come home for Oakland and the Yankees. And currently, BK's O's are up 6-5 here in the top of the 8th. Let's go.
Shout out to the Yankees being the fucking worst.
The worst. My God. So, I mean, we were going to get into that later, but yeah, 5-10 this year. And then, hold on. So I was listening to the Cubs game a little bit on Sunday after they got demolished by the Braves.
I started after the first inning. I was like, all right, I'm not going to listen to this anymore.
I was watching it, and I was like, this can't be real. This is not real right now. Like, somebody, like, what's happening? But so I didn't have the volume on because I was watching at my mother-in-law's house. So I just had, like, no sound on, which was probably for the best. But then when we get back home, I put the sound on for, like, maybe 2 minutes. And, of course, A-Rod's calling it. And A-Rod's like, and then they're talking about Rizzo. Because at this point, the Cubs are down like 100, I think, in the game. And they're talking about Rizzo getting dealt. And they're like, oh, can you imagine him in the New York, like in a Yankees uniform, what he could do for that team? Like, especially in the pennant. And I was like, are you serious? They're 5-10 right now. And then you're like, oh, we should trade him? Oh, just stop. You know, A-Rod, get off of it. You're not Mr. Yankee. You never will be. Jeter is. Just get off. Like, dude, oh, God. Like, that made me want to throw up. I was like, I put the game on for 2 minutes, and I was like, I turned to Molly. I was like, this is why I mute it when he's on. This is why. Because he says ridiculous, stupid stuff. It just doesn't make any sense.
I don't know what's worse, A-Rod calling on ESPN or how upset he is about J-Lo. Both are really bad.
I mean,
hey. I didn't know the J-Lo thing. I think I saw, like, some people tweet about it. I don't stay up to date with who's dating who. I just don't. I don't stay up to date with it.
I know.
Well, A-Rod was dating J-Lo because they were engaged.
Yeah, they were engaged.
So I didn't even know they were engaged. I knew they were dating because there was like some commercial.
And
I was like, oh,
when you get out of a breakup, with Jennifer Lopez, what do? You buy the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, the best NBA team that you could get. Like, absolutely. But no, on that note, I mean, we'll go into the Cubs. Cubs week recap, 2-3 since our last podcast. Lost to the Braves, obviously, over the weekend, 2 of 3. They gave up 4 homers on Sunday Night Baseball. Everybody could watch on ESPN. A-Royd was calling the game. Whatever, but they hit 6 dingers on Saturday. So that's a positive note. There for the Cubs. And then, of course, Ryan, I think, mentioned this at the beginning of the podcast. Our own Undead Red Bull is at the game right now. And the Cubs are actually leading 3-1. And we actually have an RBI hit. So that means we look like a professional team. It wasn't a homer. We did it. We did some fundamentals today. We actually had a sack bunt. The guy scored. It was cool. Who cares if it was an error? They still scored. Still scored.
Mike says, oh shit, my bad, wrong show. I thought this was Casting Couch. It could be Mike for you. We'll find out. And Frank says, A-Rod and J-Lo aren't done. They're back together. Frank, this is hard.
No.
I'm hearing a lot of mixed things, man.
No.
I was also told, listen, so if Carlos is in the chat, he knows, at work when we go on lunch, the only thing on is TMZ. So or Maury, and I really don't want to watch Maury. I don't care who the baby daddy is. So we watch TMZ, and at first they told us they were together. Then they said they weren't because she wasn't wearing a ring or something. I don't know. It's a lot, Frank. But you keep me updated. All right, I'd like to know because I've been in her DMs, trying. I'm out here trying, boys. Trying to get her on the show, of course. Obviously, that's what I'm doing.
You don't have to update me, Frank. I don't really care either way. I don't. Now, if you hear more Super League news before I do, Frank, tweet at a brother. Let me know, like I was doing to you. We got to teamwork this.
J-Lo Super League.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. It's a tough comparison, man. Tough. But wrapping up baseball here. So obviously this past week was Jack Robinson Day. 100+ players donated their game day checks in honor of Jackie Robinson. Donation to the support of those went to the Players Alliance, which works to promote Black participation at all levels of baseball, which is fantastic. The Lions will also introduce a new campaign called Breaking Barriers, which includes a new scholarship fund that will support student athletes in time for fall of 2021. So that's fantastic. That they are still doing this, and it's also like awesome that like they're doing like the Jackie Robinson Day. Like it's not just one day. I mean, a lot of teams like wore it for the entire weekend of 42, so that was awesome. But yeah, we already talked about the Yankees. I mean, so we're talking about big market teams. Dodgers are still 14-4. My God, do they still look great?
Cruising.
Just it's unbelievable. It's not a surprise. Really. I mean, they're the best team in baseball. And then, of course, BK's favorite team, the Nationals, had Juan Soto head to the DL as they're already struggling. They're at 5-9. So BK, I know you're devastated. I know you are. Especially, he's on your fantasy team. If I'm not correct, I think he is. Yeah.
Our own Undead Red Bull was trying to like trade for him, so I was like shooting him some trades back, and then he's like, "Oh, I can't give up that much for him." And I was like, "Sorry, I mean, like, I don't feel obligated to trade him."
He came for Acuna too.
Yeah, I did.
I said, "You talking to the wrong guy, baby. My Acuna shirt's in the mail. You don't fuck with me."
Yeah, let's just give up the best player in baseball maybe right now. Jeez.
Stud.
Jeez.
I mean,
but speaking of good baseball players, Nick Castellanos lost his appeal for the 2-game suspension for basically showing emotion. So again, baseball, you suck. So Cardinals were just crying, and you know what? Whatever. So Castellanos got suspended for 2 games, whatever, for showing emotion. But yeah, no, that's baseball rap right there.
Thanks, Petey Tahiti. Fantastic. All right, everybody. That was the. Oh no, we've got so much more to go. All right, it is time. Oh yeah, good point, Frank. Arenado does look good in St. Louis, and I hate the Cardinals, but he looks fucking good. That's a good point. Yeah.
He's a bum.
He's a bum. Yeah,
he's still a bum.
He's a good bum. No, it's like what I said about Tom. I'm like, he's a great coach, but fuck him.
Yeah, there it is. All right, everybody.
Someone, but just not like them at all.
Oof, it's true. You can respect them. You're 100% correct. Let's do it. BK, I'm going to hit that music, and it's time to take us to the pitch.
It's time for BK to take you to the pitch.
All right, BK, it's your time to shine.
I was trying to stretch and get limber there because this is about to be a lot. All right, so if everyone hasn't been paying somewhat attention to the sports world, especially soccer/football as it's known everywhere else in the world, it has been on fire. There was an earthquake on Sunday night where some of the biggest clubs in the world got together and started, quote unquote, a European Super League. That was going to be the name of it. It was going to start in the 2023-2024 season. If that still happens, we'll get to that later. Each club had to leave the European Club Association, ECA for short, which has representation from 246 clubs across Europe, which is just kind of just like this big. It's just like another governing body. Just that everyone kind of it's not that super important. The founding clubs for each of the 12 teams, 12 founding members of the European Super League get $4.19 billion with a B dollars up front. And I have them listed below here by country. So there's 3 Spanish clubs. We have Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Atletico Madrid. The Italian clubs, Juventus, AC Milan, and Inter Milan. The English clubs, there's 6. Man U, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Tottenham. And so those are all the founding clubs. There were going to be a few other clubs that were going to be permanent members, but their names weren't released. But there were going to be 2 German clubs. Rumors circulating about were going to be Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund. That makes the most sense. And then there was going to be 1 French club, PSG. That's the only one that makes sense there. But those weren't officially named as founding members. But so those 12 that I mentioned earlier were the 12 founding members of that. Okay, so here's where things get crazy, dicey. Actually, let me explain the Super League a little bit more. My apologies there. They did want to. This was going to replace the Champions League as the midweek game. So like soccer, you play your domestic games on the weekends, Friday through Sunday, sometimes on Monday, and then during the week, Tuesday through Thursdays, that's when you play your Champions League and your Europa League. So just think of intercontinental travel, all that good stuff. And so this was going to replace that. And the Super League essentially, it was going to have a total of 20 teams, but those founding teams and those 3 other ones I was talking about were going to be permanent fixtures. They weren't going to go anywhere. They were always going to be it. Come hell or high water, they were always going to be in it. They was going to have 5 rotating members, just 5. And they're part of this doing it. The reason they're doing this is to get more money. It's a big cash grab. They want a bigger cut of the pie, and a bunch of these bigger clubs have been kind of mad at UEFA, the governing body of the Champions League and the Europa League for not kind of getting enough money. So now kind of leading into that there. And like I said, guys, if there's any questions come up, just let me know. I'm going to try to keep going here.
Of course. I will say, I'll just interrupt real quick for comments here. One, Frank says he supports the Super League 100%. I don't know if that's sarcastic or not. I'm not sure. But also he's asked if you and I had seen the video the Wolves released about their feelings about the Super League. And yes, we did, because you shared the tweet with me and everything. It was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
If people don't know what Frank's talking about, the Wolves released a little thing about how they were the Premier League champions in 2018-2019. It was funny. And then Real Betis, I believe, posted something on Twitter about how they end up finishing like top 3. So there have been some tongue-in-cheek stuff going forward. But we'll get into the consternation from the clubs here leaning on, because a lot happened today. Like this was literally a very explosive situation since it started on Sunday. I was adding a bunch of the notes yesterday. Then just more craziness happened today. So I apologize for everyone to stay with us. All right, but into FIFA and UEFA. So like I said, UEFA is the governing body, and FIFA has a little bit to do with it too. They're more or less international soccer, so just like when countries play each other, that's mostly what their governing body is. They're awfully corrupt, but so is UEFA. So that's one thing we're gonna touch into here. UEFA was super freaking pissed about the decision, everything like that, and the reason is because they wouldn't make any money. They would lose. Well, they would still make money, but they would lose a lot of money by not having these big clubs playing in the Champions or Europa League, because it's harder for them to negotiate TV contracts, and we all know how that goes. Well, TV/streaming contracts. That's what makes sports world go round and round and round. Live sports. That's where the money is at. And so if this separate league is created without them, they're losing out on money. UEFA doesn't want that. They all want to have their nice Lambos and have their nice fancy houses and all that shit. The comparison that I put in the notes here.
I have a question. I have a thing. So, one of my buddies I work with, Brian, shout out to you, Brian, B-Rad. He was talking about what really turned him off of this, and I don't know if you know this is true because you're talking about TV and streaming revenue. That the Super League at one point was discussing possibly having pay-per-views for their games. Is that accurate?
I personally did not see that. There were rumors of even Amazon throwing their hat into the ring.
That makes more sense. Yeah.
Twitch was Twitch. That could have been tied in with the Amazon as well. Mm-hmm. So I saw that one. They were still negotiating TV deals. They weren't done, and that's why, because it wasn't going to start here for another couple years. So all this stuff was still in the works. It doesn't make any sense to really announce it this early. Honestly, if you really want to do it and get away with it, I feel like you would have done it in the off season before the next league year even starts. And you're just like, sorry, before, because before Champions League and Europa League starts, they do drawings when they're putting the teams in the groups. And so before even that, is ideally when I feel like you would be like, oh, hey, sorry, we're just gonna get on out of here. But the comparison here for the American audience, so y'all let me know if this makes sense, as to where these big teams leaving. I think of it like the Power 5 conferences for college football. If they just got up and essentially said, "Fuck you, NCAA, we're not gonna deal with your regulations or any of that bullshit. We're gonna do our own playoffs. We're gonna negotiate our own TV deals and do all that shit on our own. Fuck the little guys. Maybe a couple of them get in and play with us." That's as close as I can get to an American model that maybe we could relate. Does that make any sense for y'all?
Yeah, it does. At least for me personally, because so I know I had talked to you about it because so all of sports radio yesterday and even a bit today was all about soccer, which was insane. For those like if you listen to sports radio regularly, right, whether it be Sirius XM or your local station, whatever it is, you're probably, unless you're finding a specific soccer/football channel, I think you're probably not going to hear about it a lot. But it's all over the place. Pat McAfee was talking about it, and that's when I was like, oh shit, like we're getting real serious with this. And it's a perfect way of breaking it down, because what it really does is it fucks all the smaller clubs of around England so much, because all that money obviously comes with it. It's kind of like when if a team gets into the college football playoffs, it's going to help all the teams in their conference. So if Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, LSU, Michigan, the big school, USC, I don't want to keep the Pac-12 out of it, sorry. But those big schools were to just leave, Notre Dame, obviously. If they were to just say, fuck you, and dip, that would hurt the schools like the Coastal Carolinas, like the Houston Cougars, like Maryland or Illini or NIU or the Ohio, all those MAC schools. They would be affected so much. So yeah, that's a very good way to put it, because that's my biggest thing. I was very confused. I was like, this sounds great to me. I think this is fucking awesome. You get to watch all the quote unquote super teams play, and for people that aren't maybe super into soccer, now you have a spot to watch all the best players, quote unquote, play. And that is the American in me, right? The born and raised hard-breaded American capitalist in me. That was like, I think this is fucking great. And then as I was listening to people that have much more insight than I do explain it, I was like, oh, no, fuck this. This sounds fucking terrible. This is awful.
Yeah, no, I mean, I understand. I mean, obviously the Super League is a bunch of bullshit. I mean, it's just all the big boys getting together and, hey, we're all going to play each other and let's make some money. And they're going to make a ton of money. And it goes on the tip of the iceberg that, like, with everything else, when it comes to, like, American sports, like right now with the pandemic, this is an opportunity where they can make, BK, and I think you put this in the notes, the $4.19 billion, boom, right away. They all make that. So it's all about money. Money talks. I hope to God this doesn't go through. This is just terrible. This whole Super League thing is bullshit. Because, like, the best thing about sports is always that underdog. The storyline that comes with it, that gets negated if this, does go through, or if this even, like, goes through, like, for, in a couple of years. So, yeah, I think this thing sucks. I hope it doesn't happen, especially, like, I mean, we see it in, like, baseball and other sport. Well, I guess baseball specifically because there is no salary cap. But, like, when you have, like, those smaller market teams, it's great to have that storyline. It's great to at least give them a chance, even though, it really sucks for the most part for them to try to compete. But, yeah, I mean, that would be taken away with this. So, yeah, that's just, my initial thoughts on it. But, yeah, it sounds like a bunch of BS.
Yeah. I actually go both ways on it. I'm going to contradict myself because I still don't know how I fully feel, because I think there's like where, like, the Southern saying where you're trying to put lipstick on a pig in some cases here, and I think people are overreacting in some cases in terms of how it's going to ruin the domestic league. I don't really think so, but we'll get into that later. We'll have more of we'll do even more open discussion when I get through here. When you were about to say something, Ryan, before I cut you off there.
Oh, Frank just said, you can blame Real Madrid for a lot of this crap. And he says, I wish I would have left a voicemail. Well, Frank, I'll let you know. You can leave a voicemail anytime at 815-556-9089, and we will get to it on the next show, sir. Sir. There you go. Sorry, it's 4:20, everybody.
Don't worry, Frankie. I'll bring up some of the points we were talking about. So just hang tight, Frankie. Like, this is going to be the longest soccer segment we're ever going to probably have, unless like Arsenal win like the league, and then like it's just me just running around the house shirtless for a while. I don't know.
With shorts on though, just for Pete. Shorts on.
Oh, no, BK, you better be pantsless. For the amount of times you talk about pantsless, you better be pantsless.
Then I was just going to tell, like, David, don't put this up on the Twitch.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Or maybe on the Twitch, you might get more viewers. I don't know.
Be a dong show.
Yeah. Eggplant emoji. FIFA and UEFA were obviously very upset with this. And they were pretty much going to block, and they said it, they were going to block the Super League from going through at any cost, even called all the teams that left, quote-unquote, snakes, even though Sefrin, the head of UEFA, is just super corrupt and takes money under the table all the time. So it's just like, pot calling the kettle black, like, shut up, dude. And as a consolation a little bit, UEFA passed a new Champions League format. It's upping from 32 to 36 total teams in it. So, yay, there's more teams. So that's more money because that's more games to be televised. So that's how that's working. There are going to be no groups anymore. One big group, which that's really strange. But it's going to I don't even, and how they're going to do those matchups. It's just going to be random, probably ping pong ball or drawing names out of a hat kind of situation. But there's going to be 10 games, so that's bumping up because when you did the group stage, you'd have I think it was 6 games around that. Yeah, you play each team twice, home and away. But now you're going to have 5 home, 5 away games, and they're going to be against 10. They're going to be against a different opponent each time. So you could get in theory Barcelona at home, and then you could go like on the road to like, I don't know, like Eintracht Frankfurt, like you just all over the place. So like that's one of the changes they're doing. They used to do, like I said, the 8 group stages, and then the winners and runners up would advance to the next round. How they're advancing in this one is the top 6 advance, and then top 8 auto qualify, and then the teams finishing 9 to 24 face off in a home and away playoff fixture. It's the knockout rounds after that, so almost the normal format that they've been doing. FIFA president has banned all players from these named Super League teams from participating in the next World Cup in Qatar. Now, I was talking about the pot calling the kettle black. FIFA's even worse than UEFA. They were investigated in the United States and other countries for how they awarded the FIFA World Cup to Qatar. There was money given underneath the table to the board members of FIFA, the president, Sepp Blatt, I believe his last name was, Sepp Blatt. So these guys would award it to them. And also, another thing with Qatar that's super fucked up, they've brought in a bunch of migrant workers to work it, and these people have just died because they're not being taken care of. They're overworking them, not taking care of them, and they're just dying, and there's nothing in the news about them. So, fuck you, FIFA, for acting all high and mighty, banning these players when, in all honesty, this is not their doing. This is all at the ownership level. The players should not be punished for what these ownership groups of the clubs are doing. So that's bullshit. Also, with the World Cup in Qatar, because it's in the middle of the fucking desert, no one wants to fucking live there. It's fucking hot in the summer. Go fucking figure. It's a fucking desert. So they have to scrap the whole fucking club schedule and just fuck it all up. Like, just fuck it all. Just throw it in a fucking blender, and they're having to move it to the winter. Fuck them. Fuck them. I just cancel the fucking World Cup. If we're going to cancel the Super League, which we'll get into because it could be canceled here, spoiler alert, cancel the fucking World Cup. Fuck those bastards acting all high and mighty on their fucking horse, taking all those fucking pricks in suits, taking money underneath the table, acting all fucking high and mighty. Fuck them all. Now onto the fan part. I had to scroll down on my notes there. Fans are obviously upset about the formation of the league, and a lot of it comes from the quote unquote, and I saw this all over Twitter, and I'm sure you did too, Frank, the Americanization, air quotes there, of sport. Especially coming off the heels of the pandemic, where a lot of teams at the lower divisions have struggled money and have closed doors permanently. And so then you have these bigger clubs who have nice lined pockets and have now found a way just to shove more money in them and potentially take more money out of the lower guys, which is a fallacy to a certain degree. But another thing with the Americanization part is historically clubs were owned by the public, were owned by the people, were owned by the fans. And even until it was a couple years ago, Kroenke finally edged out. Stan Kroenke is the majority owner of Arsenal, just in case people don't know. He's also the owner of the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Rams. So, fun fact about that. Kroenke finally edged out the last minority owner for Arsenal. And when he did that, they don't have to release any financial figures or anything like that anymore. There's no accountability. Before that, they would have a meeting every year with the fans, and they'd have to release all the figures, like money's coming in, money's going out, salaries, all that good stuff. He doesn't have to do that anymore. And so that's where some consternation from the fans come, especially in Europe, because they feel like they have an input into how the club is run. In my opinion, they don't. But maybe that's just me being a skeptical American. I accept that, and so maybe our I think it's UK and Irish listeners. So please give us feedback on what you think. But that's just me outside looking in. It is different over here.
It is very much not to poke fun or anything, but this is very much like the Green Bay Packers, right, where they are owned by the fans, right? But are they really owned by the fans? Are they really owned by the people of Green Bay, Wisconsin? No. Those cheese eaters don't own that team. All right, that's not how that goes. Sorry. Those what is that? Spotted cow drinking, cheese eating, Packers.
Well, if we were all, if the fans actually owned the Packers, Jordan Love would have already been traded or not drafted. So I mean, if that was the case, right. I mean, if it was owned by the fans, and we would give Rodgers a lifetime contract.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And so they're upset about that. And the other part of the Americanization of the sport is to where the regular season matters more than anything else with all these domestic leagues, because the playoffs, it's a very American invention. It doesn't. Cat, stop! Get off me. She's pulling and she's stuck on my shorts now. Damn, I lost my train. The playoffs are a very American invention to where the regular season doesn't matter as much. It's essentially you play the regular season for seeding. To have the honor to get into the playoffs and to win the whole darn thing. And like I've discussed on the podcast before, you don't have that in these domestic leagues. You play every team twice, once home, one away. You get points, 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw. Whoever has the most points at the end of the year wins. That is how it is decided. And so and how you finish in the domestic league and even the domestic cups as well, that however well you finish or place affects how you play in the European soccer. That affects if you go to the Champions League, the Europa League, or even the one down before that is like the European Championship, which no one really cares about. I mean, people hardly care about the Europa League. I only care because Arsenal's in it. When Arsenal's not in the Europa League, I don't care. So just think of it like that. And so they don't like how the big teams had a workaround for that to where they're automatically in this separate league that is, ostensibly better because it has all the bigger names. Like Ryan was saying, it has all the bigger stars because all those teams have the biggest purses, have the biggest wallets, throw around the most money most of the time. So that's where a lot of people get just upset about And I can sort of understand that. And now a lot of people from the smaller, and I don't mean that in a mean way, so the smaller nations here don't get upset at me. I in terms of the footballing fan base and in terms of the brevity of the league worldwide, like the Portuguese Premier League. You guys probably don't even know about that. Like that's I actually interact with a really cool guy on Twitter. His name's Punisher. I forget the rest of his name. We actually started talking about TVs one day, then video games, and actually talked about sports. He's a big FC Porto fan, but they're from the Portuguese Premiership. No Portuguese team has a guaranteed spot in that European Super League. They would have to essentially get lucky or play in. There's no of the Dutch Eredivisie, so that's where Ajax. They're kind of a decent sized club. They do very well. There's no Turkish Super League team in there. There's no Scottish Premiership team in there. There's no Russian Premier League team guaranteed a spot in the European Super League, and that's where you get a lot of this teams from, like I said, smaller countries in air quotes. They're just from smaller leagues with less renowned, and it kind of skirts some of that and upsets them a little bit, and I get that.
I'm upset because where's the MLS representation?
True.
Where's it at, man?
Unbelievable. Hey, I thought this was the world's game.
Well, so I mean, there's no Asian representation. There's no African either. So, like, just for the record.
Wow.
Australian, because they have a league down under. So none down there either.
I don't know what the fuck they found on that. He loved Australia.
And so now it wasn't just UEFA, FIFA, the fans getting upset. Government bodies were getting upset. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson was threatening to halt all advances of the European Super League. This is the same administration that made it harder for foreign players to play in the UK because of Brexit. So it's really funny that they were saying that. So it's kind of like they're walking it back, where it's just like, once again, the pot's calling the kettle black, because they did the Brexit thing and they literally made it harder for these English Premier League clubs just to bring in someone that wasn't English to play. So you got that. Yeah. French President Emmanuel Macron was praising PSG for steering clear of the Super League talk and does not want to hurt the heart of the domestic game there. Even though the domestic game sucks there in France, I'll get into that later as well. It's also bullshit because PSG just dominates that whole thing. It's just, we'll get into that later. Sorry, I had to scroll down again. And so now there's FFP theories. You're like, BK, what the fuck is FFP?
Yeah,
why are you throwing out?
Yeah, what does it mean?
Financial fair play. And you're like, oh, cool. That's like a salary cap, bro. And I'm here to tell you, no, it's fucking not. It's like having the luxury tax, except like it's not enforced or no one cares. Because all the books are cooked anyways, because you have, as I've railed many times against Man City, because they're literally owned by the Saudis, a nation state. Guess what? PSG is too. They cook the books. And so in the financial fair play is meant to, we're like, oh, if you spend $150 million bringing in a player, you have to sell so much too. And then, if you don't sell as much, then you're like, oh, well, we had this much money come from ticket sales and other sources, other streams of revenue. But these other teams don't really adhere to that. Also, Chelsea, fuck them. They don't adhere to it either. So it's kind of bullshit. Arsenal did for years. And so that's why I really won't take Arsenal FFP slander. They actually adhere to it. When they built when they built the Emirates where they played now, they restricted themselves a lot on purchasing players, and they were hamstrung, and they were living by FFP rules. So fuck all them. So that was a theory of this European Super League, that it was going to almost bring up some of the smaller of the bigger clubs, like the Arsenal in this case, the Tottenhams, even the Man U's, the Liverpools. Well, Liverpool's actually got a lot of money. I mean, like LeBron
James.
But it was going to bring these other clubs up almost to the same level, because it was just going to inundate all of them with so much money that it wasn't going to make a difference. Now, we'll get into the developments from today, and holy shit, a lot happened today. So the first two teams, from what I saw today, to have consternation. Sorry to use that word so much, but to back out of the European Super League was Chelsea and Man City. They were the first ones to actually kind of have talks about it, and then immediately Real Madrid president said that the club signed binding contracts on Saturday and can't get out. So things are getting more interesting. So lawyers will get involved. I would imagine. We'll see how that goes. The rest of the Premier League 6 teams, they all got out. Arsenal, Man U, Tottenham, I'm forgetting one, and Liverpool. Sorry, Liverpool. They all got out tonight as well. They all backed out. There's rumors that Barcelona is backing out of the deal, and so there's far-reaching consequences of the European Super League. It happened. Now it could not be happening. All these teams are actually meeting tonight. The ownership groups are meeting tonight to discuss the European Super League and possible cancellation. And what's super interesting as well, people are losing their jobs. Man U's chairman, Ed Woodward, has stepped down from the club amid backlash after signing up for this European Super League. Fun fact, Ed Woodward used to work for J.P. Morgan. J.P. Morgan were the underwriters of the European Super League. They were funding it. So there's, yes.
Yeah.
They were the main. Yeah, so that's a little sketchy too. That Atletico Madrid and Barcelona have officially pulled out of the Super League as well. So you really only have Real Madrid. Then you have all the Italian clubs. They're still in it. They haven't pulled out. Last I haven't checked. I was trying to update Dust, but then I was doing some other stuff and played a little show. Admittedly, so it's been a crazy day. Now, do you guys want to pontificate more about this? Do we want to go into the Champions League recap and then kind of come back to this and finish the show with this? Or do we want to get into the nuts and bolts of this?
Well, I just want to say first off, with those Dagos out there, you don't know what side they're going to be on at the end of the day. All right, I've seen a lot of World War II stuff, all right? They don't know. Those Dagos out there, they don't fucking know. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to them, though. But it is so just interesting to me that this comes out, like you said, it has multiple years before it was even going to be a thing. Now, why of all the times would you come out with this? There was people calling it just a massive pandemic cash grab, right? Using the pandemic as kind of an excuse, which I guess I do understand to an extent. Because you're using it as a way where all these clubs, you talk about a lot of these clubs already, the smaller ones, already almost bankrupt or are bankrupt because of everything that's gone down with the pandemic and not being able to have fans and missing that revenue. It's way more extreme than it is over here in the United States for some of our teams as well. Brian Dunseth works for SiriusXM, and he was on the Wrap, and he was talking about it, how it's just, and he's a former MLS player, but he just said it's just something where that culture, if you don't understand the culture of football over there in Europe and around the rest of that general area, it's really hard to kind of comprehend or to grasp the severity of that situation and what it means, because to these fans, that is their life. They take those teams so much more serious than I would say any of us honestly probably do with our own teams, right? I mean, listen, I am a Chicago White Sox fan till the day I die, but I'm not going to riot or completely shut down because of what the White Sox decide to do. I have the Bears to worry about. So I don't have time to just worry about the White Sox. You know what I mean? And damn, I got the Bulls, and it's a tough time. I mean, you can look at the Cleveland Indians as an example of where when I Molly and Pete, when I saw you guys, they were just joking around about how team's moving anyway. We're getting rid of the fucking team anyway. You know what I mean? It's so different than it is over there. You got so many people just really, really upset, and I do believe, BK, you made a good point where you said you're kind of tops. I see why it's good, but I can also see why it's bad. The belief of this whole thing was that because the way that the football and it's all orchestrated over there right now at the Champions League is not going to be sustainable within the next couple of years. That's their belief, right? When it comes to creating the Super League, the revenue and everything, it's just not going to be, it's not going to be sustainable. And I don't know if that is the case or not. I did grab a quote from a former Real Madrid president, Ramon Calderón. He talked to CNN and he said, "I think this project has died today and it's on the way to becoming a complete botch. I think it deserves it because it was a project destined to kill football. I think mainly at this time that we are living, where many clubs are struggling to survive due to economic problems from the pandemic, what football needs is unity and solidarity." Also valid points. Valid points indeed. I just think this is such a tricky situation, for everybody. If you're not a full-blown, obviously, football fanatic, like, you're just kind of like, I don't know, this sounds kind of good. Like, I just get to pay for one service maybe and watch a bunch of really good soccer players, I guess. Like, that's really cool. But like I said, I do understand and I respect the idea of, like, no, like, this is awful. Like, my bum ass team from, like, Nottingham, that's not even a real place, but whatever, is going to not get any money now because is it? Okay, cool. Because Arsenal and Real Madrid and Manchester City and Man U all decided to leave. The big boys, the big money boys, decided to leave. So now my little team in the ghetto of England isn't going to be able to make any money. I understand where that's a problem, because why am I, for instance, if all these teams go, am I going to tune in just to watch the Wolves? Probably not. I'm probably not, because I don't want to see the competition that they're going to play. But at the same time, I understand how great the system currently works is now, because I don't know what it's called, BK. You probably do, but when the team sucks and then they get, was that relegated? Is that what that's called?
They get relegated. Yeah. So
and then
like
another one comes in. I think that's so cool. That's such a great way to keep the sport fresh over there. But at the same time, I don't blame these teams and these owners, because at the end of the day, maybe American leagues figured it out first, but these sports are a business. And that's why when it comes to, the fans are the owners, okay, I get that. But sports are a business. And you're paying these players millions upon hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's a business. So either you figure that out, or it's going to eventually bite you in the ass.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the whole, like, money thing, because the current Real Madrid president was like, we're gonna die off. He was like, there's not a lot that can be done in terms of, like, some of these clubs, because they're so big. It's almost like they're, well, not too big to fail, but it's like they potentially need the Super League to help kind of keep them afloat, to help balance the books and all that. So it's like, that almost comes across as like, like it's the rich guy complaining that he doesn't have a fifth Lambo or Ferrari. That's what it almost sounds like to a lower tier team. And I get that, but I guess, like, my counterpoint is just, like, the domestic games still, like, matter. Like, like, if you still win the FA Cup, if you still win the EPL, like, you still fucking won off. That's a fucking big deal. Like, and that's where I guess, like, I don't understand it. Probably because, as an American, because, like, I mean, if the Orioles won the fucking World Series, like, once again, I'm getting fucking naked and I'm running around the fucking house because I haven't seen the Orioles win it before. And so, like, there's still the Orioles would never be relegated, but, like, I still care. And the Orioles players better freaking care, because they're professionals. That's what they get paid big bucks for at the end of the day. And so people are like, well, there's no point, because, like, we can't, like, move up. Well, you can't move up to this one-off league, potentially. Like, this one-off league. And it's just like, I mean, really?
Should those other teams be relying on the big dogs to carry it, right? Should they be? Because I think why the NFL is so successful is because you don't need to rely on the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Dallas Cowboys, the Green Bay Packers, the Chicago Bears, any of those bigger franchises in the terms of the NFL. You don't have to. Like, the Patriots, when they became a dynasty, were nobody. No one gave a fuck about the Patriots. You know how I knew the Patriots? Because the 1985 Bears wrecked their shit. That's how I knew who the Patriots were, right? That's the only thing I knew about them. And Drew Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe was the shit. And then all of a sudden they became this big thing out of nowhere, right? I just think that it's slightly unfair to rely heavily on those big teams. And if that is the case and that's your current structure, well, then maybe you need to take a look at the structure, which could also be something that comes out of this as well.
Yeah, and that's where, and if for people that don't know, is and to where like we're fortunate, like the ultimate, one of the ultimate balancing acts in, I guess, yeah, like the balancing acts to like, especially for the NFL, all the sports, is like you have the draft that helps bring balance. But the Europeans hate the draft. They absolutely hate it. They have academies. They hate drafts. They think it's silly. I saw so many jokes about the drafts, but like that brings balance back to like to the force. That helps your team get back into it. And then the salary cap's like that other piece of the pie that helps keep things like super competitive. And I think, yeah, the NFL is a great example. They also have like the equal TV contracts. That helps a lot. So like I said, like the NFL has a perfect mixture, but the NFL is government regulated. That's one of the main reasons why they can get away with it. And so that's why, and I know a lot of your, like, especially the UK listeners, because I tune into the Premier League a lot and all that talk, they were like, well, we don't want government intervention. Well, guess what? NFL is the most popular sport in America. The only reason it is like it is because the freaking government. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying how it is. And so the model isn't necessarily sustainable. But and to talk more about these academies, I mean, like, Arsenal has academies in the U.S., they have them in Africa. They're all like a bunch of these clubs have, like Man City has one. Has Man City? They've pimped out an MLS team, the NYCFC, the New York City Football Club. They're owned by Man City. They treat it essentially like a minor league team,
and like that's cool. I mean, like to Frank's point, the academy also made Barcelona the team that they are now. That's his point.
Exactly, and that's the reason why Arsenal was so good for a long time, and that's why, well, again, like Arsenal's never been relegated because they had a fucking awesome academy because they would just plop guys out. And same with Barcelona. I mean, these academies will get kids when they're 6 and 7 years old, start getting them in a system, and then if they in a year or two they can kick them out and they'll bring in someone new. That's fine. But that's how young they start. It's essentially like an AAU system over here. Like I played AAU basketball. Like I did that. I had to like sign all that stuff over when I did all that good stuff. But it's a whole nother level with the academy system. And the thing is, you can't have a draft over there. It's just not possible because you have all these different leagues with all these. How are you going to do that? Or are you going to only draft domestic guys? Like, but then it's like, well, that's almost kind of like racist because you're like, well, like what about like those lower tier, like some guys like in Africa, like I'm saying, people from different countries.
What's
like,
wrong with the Americans or the Chinese players or the South Korean players or the Russian players, right?
Exactly. So it's like that's why this is a uniquely European problem that we're never all going to fully understand, and also because like what the European Super League was essentially going to be, it was going to be the NBA. The MLB, the NHL, the NFL. It was going to be the premier place for soccer. It was going to be the premier soccer league, essentially, of the world, hands down. Yeah. And I guess in America, we have those big four. They're not challenged by any other league. Yeah, I guess you could argue the KHL a little bit with the NHL, but fuck right off. No, not even fucking close. No other baseball league compares with the MLB. I know Ryan got into some Korean baseball last year as well as we did, but it still does not compare. Those players leave that league to play in the MLB. Same with the NBA. Luka Doncic played on FC Barcelona because, yes, Barcelona has a basketball team as well. He left that to come play in America. And so Europe doesn't – this is their thing. Yeah, like rugby is big there too, but soccer is a whole different ball game. And like what Ryan said, this is their identity. The season is just as long as NASCAR. It's obscenely long. It lasts about 10 months. It lasts the entirety of the year. It's what they live and breathe. Do you guys have any other thoughts before I go into another diatribe here?
Pete, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I haven't talked in a while, so I feel like I should say something. But no, I was just gonna say, I mean, I just think it's super interesting that this thing comes out on Sunday. We're talking like Tuesday night right now. There's the amount of backlash that they've had. There's been, all these clubs basically wanting to back out, rumors. BK, you even mentioned like a meeting right now, like for tonight, for this to happen. Like, that almost goes to the fact of like, how much background did they think of this? Like, did they think that there was going to be any sort of backlash with this? Because for as quick of a turnaround that they've seen of like negative publicity, negative things happen, like clearly they didn't take that into account. Because like for them to do this quick of a meeting, for this many clubs to basically say, hey, I kind of want out of this. Like, I just think I don't think this was well thought out, like in terms of what was going to happen for a backlash and what was going to happen, really consequences from there. I just don't think that this was thought out like that, because there's no way you just have, we announced this awesome thing Sunday afternoon. 2 days later, we're meeting because we're like, is this right? I don't know. What are we doing? So, yeah, that's my only thoughts on it.
That's a great point that you brought up there, and it's going in with like the backlash is where there were rumors of this Super League going back to last year, but everyone kind of brushed it off like that will never happen. That was like the thinking, where it's like, oh, like you heard rumors, but like it was still like it won't happen, blah 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 blah, and then this kind of like came up like out of nowhere, and like. Also, shout out to Shaka Hislop. He's an ESPN personality. He covers a lot of soccer coverage for them. Check him out. I don't always agree with him, but like this time, I absolutely do. He condemned UEFA for getting more upset about the European Super League than it did about racism. He was like, really? You called all these teams snakes, but you recently had a Slavia Prague player, which we'll get into later as well, say a racist comment to a Rangers FC player. He was only banned 10 games.
Yeah.
10. He literally he said it in the guy's ear, and it started a fight between two teams. And UEFA acted with more anger and frustration towards this than that. Priorities much?
Ridiculous.
It's just. And then like another thing here too, I know I'm kind of bouncing all over the place, but there's a lot to like cover here. I do want to talk about this in terms of the money, because Ryan brought that up too, is where there was supposed to be a payment made by this European Super League, 160 million euros to be paid to the Premier League clubs to help money, quote unquote, trickle down to the domestic game and help them, and that's all the Premier League teams and the teams in the other like big leagues too, La Liga, etc. and so forth, to help them, because like, oh hey, since you're not in this big league, we're going to give you this money for 23 years. You're going to have this like kind of like hookup, but does that really help the game super long term? And as we know of trickle down economics, they do not work as a whole. We've seen them.
Sure
We've
don't.
seen their economics. So that was a super. I thought that was incredibly short-sighted and dumb of them to even think to include that as like an olive branch. Oh, hey, we're gonna do this. Yeah, we'll give you some money for like a little bit. It's like, wow, yeah.
To me, it almost feels as if the UEFA and all that. Thank the Lord that the fan bases of these teams were outraged, because if they weren't, it wasn't going to stop anything. I honestly believe it's 100% is the fan base being outraged. You made the point earlier how ignorant it was of FIFA to make the decision of these players can't play in the World Cup. That is so stupid. That was like them just like panicking, because like you said, there's been rumblings of this for a while. I mean, I was listening to somebody talk about yesterday, and they said for the past decade, there has been talks on and off about teams branching out and forming a quote-unquote Super League. Now, yes, the audacious audacity for them to consider themselves the super teams, right? I mean, damn, I don't know. All right, I don't know what that would be like if I saw, if a group of NFL teams just decided to break their own league, right, they're going to rival the NFL, which obviously they couldn't, but they wanted to rival the NFL, and they just or like with the college aspect, right, they deem themselves the super teams, and it's like, well, I mean, there's like only one super team in college, really, but I mean, it's fine. It's Alabama. Like, I think that's an interesting thing too, to be so confident in your club that like you're a super team. You believe that you're a super team. Is it because you have a really good club, or is it just because you have a lot of money? That's another big aspect to all this too. Whether they're owned by people that are from those countries, or they're owned by people from different countries, which is often the case, I believe, for a lot of these clubs. I do believe their owners are usually from different countries nowadays, right?
Oh yeah, Chelsea's owned by like a Russian billionaire. Like Chelsea was historically not that good for the most part, and then this Russian guy came in and he just throws money around. Same with Man City. Like I said, the nation state owns them. Man City historically sucked dick, and then come in there. And Liverpool, they were historically good, but then they bounced back with I can't remember the sports group that owns them. The Glazers own Man United. That's the Fenway Group. It's a lot of foreign investment, foreign owners, and so I think that has a lot to do with it as well. People are like upset about that, and I think that's part of the Americanization as well. Like where here in America, you have it's the owner, and there might be a couple minority owners, like Dwayne Wade's now a minority owner of the Denver Nuggets. Shout out to him,
the Khan family for Jacksonville.
So we could be used to it. I'm not sure, but I do want to discuss like this whole like in terms of the domestic league and ruining competition, because that's where a lot of it comes down to as well. Is that like a lot of the fans believe that like if they're not really, if these super league teams are not fighting for their place, then like what's the point of this domestic competition other than the fact that they're professionals and they should be working their ass off? Like and maybe and that's my American coming through. Like, I don't care. He gets paid great money. He needs to fucking play hard no matter fucking what. I do not fucking care. Like, I'm not saying he's like a performing monkey or something like that, but still, like, he's a professional. Take it seriously. Do your job. That's how I do it. I don't go in and expect to do a half-ass job, even though I make a tenth of what they make. Like, no, I'm going to do my job, and I'm going to do it damn well, and I'm proud of what I do at work. They need to approach it the same way. They need to try to fucking win games. So, like, that whole defeatist attitude that some of these people are having, that I cannot grasp my head around that. I will never grasp my head around that. They should always try to win. I do not care. But and going into this whole competition thing, because I have some fucking numbers. So shout out to you, Frank, here, because we were talking about this, and I dug deeper into it for you, and it's fucking eye-opening. So since the advent of the Premier League, it started in 1992. It was called something before that, a little different. But we're going from 92. Guess how many winners outside of the big six clubs that I named earlier? I'll read them again. Man City, Arsenal, Man U, Liverpool, Tottenham. I forgot one already. Whatever. Liverpool, did I already say them?
Yeah.
Arsenal, Liverpool, Man U, Man City, Tottenham. Who am I forgetting? I'm having a blank.
Scrolling. Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea?
Oh, Chelsea. Fuck them. Fuck them. God. All right. So, of the big six, how many have won the EPL since 1992, the Advent?
Which is 29 years for everybody wondering.
Yes.
I will
3.
That's a good number.
What did you say?
He said
3.
3. I'll say 7.
P2 is closest, but he's still over. So, according to Price is Right, you both lose.
Damn
God
it!
damn it, Bob.
You should have went with a set. Damn it!
It's two teams outside of the big six. Blackburn in 94 and Leicester City in 2015. So, really, is competition like we have now, is it really benefiting the league? Because it doesn't fucking look like it, in my opinion. Let's get into FA Cup winners, because that is the big domestic cup in England. It's I'm biased towards this. Admittedly, Arsenal's won it the most. So I'll give you that. But we'll go FA Cup winners from 92 on. How many winners outside of the Big Six?
4.
I'm going to go 2.
P2 wins. He was closest without going over. It's 3.
Fuck!
Wigan won in 2013, Portsmouth won in 2008, and Everton won in 95. So, and the FA Cup, that is a playoff style, like it's a tournament bracket style, and that actually includes all the lower divisions of English soccer. That's a more playoff tournament style. So that's how the competition. And now I even have the last time that each of the Big Six teams were relegated, and a number of times too. I included all that. Liverpool, last relegated, 2010, 2011. They've been relegated a total of 3 times in their history.
Which means they
Tottenham.
suck, right? If they get relegated, it means you sucked.
Yeah, that's dog doodle. You drop down, into the toilet.
Straight dog water, got it.
Yeah. Tottenham, last relegated 2008, 2009. They've been relegated 4 times. Man City, last relegated 2002, 2003. They've been relegated 11 times. Ooh. Man City wasn't good until the Saudis came in. That's what I'm telling you. They do not have a rich history. They bought everything, literally. Their new money. Chelsea, last relegated 93, 94. Been relegated 6 times. Man U, last relegated 86, 87. They've been relegated 5 times. Arsenal, technically 1 time, but this is like before the actual advent of like top flight football in 1913. 1913. Get wrecked, everyone.
That's embarrassing, BK. 1913. That team stunk.
Yeah. World War hadn't even broken out yet. That's terrible.
God.
It wasn't even technically like top flight football, like all that stuff like that. So technically it's like 0, but I'm including it in there to like show that I'm willing to like, go against my bias. But and this goes into the whole point that Frank and I are talking about. Like, does this Super League really hurt the competition? The competition's already laying itself out, like right here. Like, where's the parity? And we'll even get into this because, like I said in the pre-show, we'll talk about this. Like, I have all the lists of Stanley Cup champions, NBA champions, World Series championships, and NBA champions. There is more parity in American sports with Americanization than there is in this bullshit.
And I think that's a good point. I mean, like, obviously, in the early years of baseball, you probably don't see the parity as much, right? There was a string there where the Yankees were probably the most dominant team in the world. But at the same time, it's definitely as the sports have evolved, as the leagues have evolved, yeah, there's way more parity now. I talked about this in the pre-show. Like, besides the Patriots in the NFL in the last, let's say, 2 or 3 decades, the parity has been there. I mean, you've seen a lot of random. I mean, I watched a Ravens team with Joe Flacco go out there and just dominate. I've watched the Packers. There it is. I've seen the Packers take a break in between, but still, there's the 2011 season. We've seen the Carolina Panthers with Cam Newton go to the playoffs and do things. I mean, there's just the Seahawks, the San Francisco getting there a couple of times. It's just
the Broncos. Yeah,
the Broncos by having to get, obviously, Peyton Manning, my neck hurts, I get it. Those are things. Now, all of a sudden, look at the Buccaneers now have won twice in the last almost 21 years. So there's way more parity. Baseball, definitely now. Now, there's a ton of parity. I mean, look how long it took the Dodgers to win again. And that team has been good for a while. And they just were able to get over the hump and win. The NHL, that's another one. The NBA, I mean, obviously, if LeBron's on your team, there's a high chance you're going to participate in the championship. But at the same time, like, I watched the Cleveland Cavs team come back and beat the best regular season NBA team of all time, record-wise. Maybe one of the best seasons for a single player ever, Steph Curry that year. So there's a lot of parity where what you're saying with soccer over there in Europe, in the English leagues, it's not very good. when it comes to parity. So when you start to take all of that into consideration, I personally, and this is, I've been leaning like all over the place on this because as an outsider, right? That's how I view myself. I'm a very casual Premier League person. I like to watch it from time to time, especially like if it's on at work. I like to sit there if I'm at my desk and I put it on because I like to try and understand. I'm like flip-flopping my teams and shit. But I truthfully think that if you were to take this league, the Super League, right? Maybe it is really bad for smaller clubs, possibly. I don't know. I don't know how that works logistically. Maybe it is really upsetting to fans, but I do think that if you create this league that you consider the NHL, the NFL, the MLB of football, well, wouldn't that get way more casual people to watch, possibly? Because now they have one central league they can look at and be like, that's the league that has the best players that I love, which is what I said earlier in the show. I really think that that's a big thing. I think there is a market, and I listen, I'm American, and I'm sure if you're an overseas listener, listen, one, I appreciate you, I love you, but as American as I am, red-blooded American, I truly look at this from those eyes, and I'm like, there is recently, I would say over the last 10 years or so, there is a pool forming of like a puddle originally. Now it's starting to get bigger of people in America that want to like soccer or football if you're overseas. Like they want to. They get up. They go to the bars on the weekends. They go watch their club that they want to root for. That is becoming so much more popular. So much more popular. Like I said to my buddy at work, like he's a big soccer fan, and I talked to him about it a couple of years ago because I'm like, bro, I want to get into it. This feels like it'd be so fun. I just don't know where to start. And see that there's so many people like me, I think, unless I'm being very, very naive. But I truly believe there's a lot of people like me that would love to get into it. And maybe like myself, I love the World Cup. It's my favorite thing. Besides the Stanley Cup playoffs, I am a huge fan of the World Cup. You're playing for your country. It kicks ass. But when you have that and you're like, I don't know where to start. Like there's like 5 fucking English leagues. There's like 4 fucking, there's a Portuguese league. There's like 3 fucking Italian leagues. There's a Spanish league here, another one here. We got a fucking a Chinese league. We got a South African league. Like they're all over the place. It would be so easy. And that is the American me. I know it is, but like to condense this, and it's like, it's so condensed into a way where I could just say, listen, do you want to watch Ronaldo? Do you want to watch Messier? Do you want to watch all these great players? Well, here you go. Here's the Super League. You get this. It's going to be on Amazon Prime with your Prime membership. It's going to be on Twitch. It's going to be all these things. There you go. Boom. There it is. And you will get so many more casual fans. I understand. I do think that the belief that it's the death of football is very, very just dramatic at that point. You know what I mean? That is also, Frank, yes, I have. Dude, I'll go to a Fires game. I've been to a Fires game before. My cousin's actually really big in the soccer, and I went with him. It's a Fire game, dude. Chicago Fire, baby. Let's get it. Let's get this dub.
Nice. Yeah,
MLS.
The whole parody thing is just, I guess that's where that's my big gripe. And let's get into more of this awesome parody. And like I said, the Premier League has a big 6. No other league has a big 6. It's either a big 3 or a big 2.
Yeah.
Or honestly a big 1. I didn't even look up League One, like the winners. I meant to do that, but like these other ones will drive home my point. Like it's even worse in League One where PSG plays. It's way worse. Just trust me. But the Bundesliga, that's the German league. Now, they've been doing it. Bayern Munich has won it 29 out of 57 times. 29 out of 57.
My God.
How many titles does Borussia Dortmund have with second? Guess how many?
4.
2.
Pete wins again.
He's a bitch, bro.
5. They've won it 5 times.
Ah.
Bayern Munich didn't win it. Did not win the Bundesliga. 2011, 2012.
Pete, I have to ask you a question. I mean, let me. I think he's cheating because I want to know, Pete. While you were, during the pandemic and all that, and you were at home, were you watching a lot of Price is Right? Are you fucking me here?
No, dude, it's all in here. It's a steel cage, and for some reason, it knows numbers, and it's really just total guess. I have no idea, and it just seemed like 4 was accurate, and it was very close, and that's all it was. That's all it was.
You were picking it up by osmosis. You were subconsciously picking up this all this information when we were working together there for a couple years. You were just picking all this up, just going into my rants.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I was maybe half listening at the time, and I must have absorbed the other part that's in the back of my mind, and that's probably what it is. It's coming out really on the podcast right now when it comes to my numbers.
Chicago Fire, baby!
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, fire, love it. Let's go.
That's all we know.
All right. Let's go into the Spanish league called La Liga, and we'll also go for this one just to make it kind of current with the EPL. We'll do 1992 to current. How many winners outside of the big 3 of Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Atletico Madrid?
2.
5.
Ryan wins.
No.
Right.
No.
3 winners outside of the big 3. Deportivo La Coruna in 99, Valencia in 2001 and 2003. So once again, a lot of awesome parity that you're seeing here. Andy's domestic leagues. Awesome ass parity. Love to watch all this parity happening all the time, and all these lower teams having all this ample opportunity to jump up and do amazing things by not winning dog shit.
I mean, BK, I can't imagine the numbers if we ran this for, all the big 4 here in America. Like, if you ran the numbers for that, the amount of teams would probably be insane.
Talk about it.
God, he ran the numbers. He ran
the numbers. We'll just look at it together here. I'll share my screen, and we'll do this as a group. So hopefully you're enjoying the soccer talk here on AM Nation. All right. Serie A. This is the Italian league. Once again, like I said, to keep it easy, 92 to current. How many winners outside of the big 3? The big 3, Juventus, also called Juve for short. You have AC Milan and Inter Milan. So one's just called Milan usually. The other one's just called Inter.
6.
3.
You both lose. 2.
Damn it! I wanted to go 2. I wanted to go 2 so bad.
Lazio in 99 and Roma in 2000. That's how many times a team outside the big 3. And see, notice how there's literally less parity in these other leagues compared to the EPL.
Somebody ate my spaghetti. That is just wild.
So that's why I guess when the Europeans talk about the Americanization of sport, I take it a little bit personally because I love Arsenal, but I see this and I'm where is the honest competition? Real Madrid's not getting relegated. Never. It hasn't happened. I didn't even look it up because it's not worth it. Is Barcelona? No. Atletico Madrid? No. Bayern Munich? You're kidding me? The team that's won that league more than half the times that it's been in existence? You're kidding me, right? And this is the death of domestic football? I mean, I think you said, Ryan, and I think you hit the nail perfectly here, and I'm probably getting overhyped and over-exaggerated here, but it's they were exaggerating. It was hyperbole. This isn't the death of domestic football if they would have done the Super League. But is it bad? I will agree that it's probably not great, but having something that is easily digestible for a casual fan, that makes it a lot easier because, how are you supposed to tell someone a soccer fan, where do I watch? Well, there's a bunch of different ways you can watch. Oh, okay, who do I need to watch? What league do you want to watch? Yep. What do you mean what league I want to watch? Well, there's the English Premier League, then there's La Liga, then there's Bundesliga, then there's Liga 1, then there's Serie A. Hurting my throat there. There's Turkish, there's all these different leagues. And it's yeah, you can watch the UEFA Champions League, but honestly, I don't even care about that half the time because I would rather see Arsenal just win the domestic stuff. I want to see who they're really grinding out and playing against like day in and day out. And if they play against another European team, I'd rather it just be a big team. Honestly, it means more at that point. So that the whole competition thing just it irks me, man. It irks me. Like I don't, and I guess because I'm a smaller market guy. Like I mean, Baltimore is not a big city. I mean, I'm a diehard Orioles fan. I will be. I cheer for them in the horrible years. I mean, I'm wearing a hat now. We suck. Like we're going to suck, and I am okay. I am still embracing the team. We can still make money financially. And guess what? If a guy's not fucking competing on the field, I expect Brandon Hyde to fucking spank that guy's ass off the field and not fucking play him again. All right? And you've even seen it. I remember when Manny Machado first came up and he didn't like run out a ground ball. Buck Showalter ate his ass up. And I don't know if like, and I'm sure there's accountability over there, but like, you don't have to have the threat of being good for your team to perform and want to do well. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
It's because we're American, bro. Them Europeans, they're different. They're built different.
And so I have the World Series winners here. We'll go 92. So like what would a big 2-4, 2-6? What would a big 2-4, 2-6 teams in the MLB be?
It's the Yankees,
Okay.
the Red Sox, the Dodgers.
Dodgers.
I mean, I almost really want to say the Cubs from a financial
what?
perspective.
For like big markets?
Yeah.
Yeah, we stink, but yeah, we're a big market.
And
Okay.
I don't know what your fifth one would be.
Well, I'm saying that you don't have to. I'm saying we set the number because
we say the Mets. I mean, probably 2.
So 5.
Yeah.
I burped there. Sorry.
It's cool.
I don't know if it came through or not.
I don't know.
Well, they know now.
Yeah,
they do. So let's go. In 92 and 93, Blue Jays won. It wasn't a champion in 94. Sorry, strike. But 95, Braves. We had the Yankees. Then the Marlins. Yankees. Diamondback. Angels. Marlins. Then we had the Red Sox. White Sox. Whoop, whoop. 2005. 2006, Cardinals. 2007, Red Sox. Then the Phils. Yankees. Giants. Cards. Giants. Red Sox, Giants, Royals, Cubs, Stros, Red Sox. There seems to be a big distribution there. A lot more than what we were seeing in the other sports. And that's MLB. That is technically the sport with the least amount of parity of all the American sports because there is no fucking salary cap. There is still a draft, and there's a deep minor league system here. And I don't know if the European audience knows about that. This is where, the minor leagues for baseball is essentially where it's the farm, and that's literally where you develop talent. It's the academy. It's the academies we have over here. But guys are still drafted into that, and then there's some funky rules with the international prospects and all that, but we're not going to get into the weeds of that. You still draft guys, and you develop in your stars. Technically you have low A, single A, double A, triple A, and then sometimes you even have rookie ball.
Well, you got the Frontier League now getting involved. I mean, there's a ton of them.
Yeah.
I was drafted in the 3rd round by the Rays. I'm currently on the Montgomery Biscuits, in case anybody's curious, and I won't be the show.
Sweet logo.
Dude,
Sweet logo on the biscuit.
I'm a shortstop. Kick ass.
I'm a base Sox. I'm a third baseman / starting pitcher right now. So
I was getting just absolutely wrecked as a pitcher, so I was like, I'm done with that. Like, I can't pitch in this game, apparently.
I'm better at pitching than hitting. I am terrible at hitting.
Lower that difficulty now.
But no, I mean, BK, to your point, with the minor leagues, the draft, and whatnot for baseball, I mean, I think the difference between, the big market teams and the small market teams is, every couple of years, you can always have, a small market team, make a run. The Rays did last year. But it's just so hard to make it sustain success just because you have to start paying these guys. It's a very short window. I mean, the Indians are basically going through that here right now with them having to get rid of Lindor and, all his pieces. So, that's the big thing. But you can still win because of the draft and whatnot. If you you can really develop your farm system. So, yeah, I think that's the thing I mean, you showed, when you're talking about the teams that have won the World Series, we talked about, the Royals that won it a few years ago. That team, I mean, obviously, it was sustained success for 2 or 3 years. Then, boom, the team blows up, and then probably for next year or two they're probably going to suck. But they're probably going to be sustained success after that for 2 or 3 years. But yeah, that's probably the only difference.
Yeah, it's a boom bust cycle to put into economic terms here, where it's just like, and it's like, and we've talked about it here. We talked about it last year in our MLB prediction / warm up pod. We were talking about the Cubs window, and you were like, the window's closing. This is the last year, and that's how it is in our sport, but not over there. Now, on to NBA basketball. Now, this distribution a little less. Obviously, basketball is more prone to
dynasty.
Dynasty, for sure.
Because, especially now because the players all love each other, unless like a Kobe Bryant, and he says he doesn't want to get compliments from any of them.
Michael Jordan. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, so like, what are the big teams in the NBA? LA Lakers, Boston Celtics got to be 1-2.
Chicago Bulls.
You're saying that. I completely agree.
I would then say the New York
Knicks. Have to be the
Knicks.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I will say the Warriors because of lately.
I don't know if I would include
or the Spurs. Are we going to throw the Spurs in there?
They don't have money.
Oh.
I feel like it gets tricky.
If it's only 4 that we feel safe on, that's
might
fine.
just be 4.
I mean, yeah, because I can't think of like another big, dominant, team or whatever.
And like my argument with against like the Spurs is like they were never tops in salary, for the most part, even when they were. Okay. And then the Warriors, like, and people probably don't want to hear this. Guess what? Exactly. They drafted Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green. I'm sorry. They drafted all those guys. They drafted their big 3. Sorry.
Studs.
All right. Let's go to the NBA. So 92-93 Bulls. Then you have the Houston Rockets for 2, the Bulls for another 3. Spurs, Lakers for 3, Spurs, Pistons, Spurs, Heat, Spurs, Celts, Lakers for 2 more. Mavs, Heat for 2, Spurs, Warriors, Cavaliers, shout out to Cleveland.
They did it.
Warriors, Raptors, and then the Lakers. So still, even a better distribution than, let's say, Bundesliga. Way better. Way fucking better.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, the NBA, like you guys said, out of all the American leagues, definitely the least amount of variety, but still a lot.
Okay. And then we're almost done here. We're at the NFL. And now this one.
Oh, yeah.
Most parody. This is where this one just gets all over the place. So we have the Washington football team, then the Cowboys there back-to-back, Niners, Cowboys, Packers, shout out to P2's Packers, then the Broncos back-to-back years. You got to love those Elway, Terrell Davis, Rod Smith, Ed McCaffrey, Bill Romanowski, Mike Shanahan, great teams.
You don't have to love that team.
Yeah, St. Louis Rams, greatest show on turf. Greatest show on turf. Then you have Baltimore Ravens, youngest franchise ever to win a Super Bowl in 2001. Then you followed it up by the New England Patriots, then the Buccaneers, then the Patriots there twice, Steelers, Colts. Then we get to the Giants, Steelers, the Aints, Packers again, Giants, Ravens again, Seahawks, Patriots. We know the rest from here. Pretty good distribution there, guys. Oh, we didn't even do like a big 3 or 4 for NFL. We can do it after the fact. That's okay.
It would have been the Cowboys, the Steelers, the Patriots, the Packers.
Yeah. Those are one of the most valuable franchises.
Yeah, probably. And the most racist, but still. Yeah.
Well, Niners too. We say Niners.
Well. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a big 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we still had plenty of teams Colts, Ravens, Bucks, Rams.
Bears didn't get named, guys.
Giants, Broncos, Seahawks, plenty. And then now on to the NHL.
It's really tough for me to tell you what the main teams would be beside. Obviously, it's the Chicago Blackhawks. They get purposely put on big schedules because it's such a big fan base now. The Rangers, I guess you would say. The Maple Leafs.
Do you probably throw Pittsburgh in there?
Probably, yeah.
Detroit?
Yeah, and probably the Red Wings, yeah.
Okay.
It's like
others?
no one out west. It's funny.
Yeah, fuck
It's like no one out west.
fuck him.
I accidentally closed the link. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Oh no, that's okay. But that's a good point.
Damn it, BK.
I got to pull it back up. Sorry. All right. So let's go to 92 again. That's kind of what I've been doing. This list is much better. It has like nice pictures and everything like that. I'm gonna have to scroll more, so then I have to like get off my tap to talk, whatever it's fucking called. So 92 Penguins, Canadians, then the Rangers, Devils, Avalanche. Scrolling.
Ooh, look at all that parody.
Red Wings, Stars, Devils, Avalanche, Red Wings, Devils, Lightning, Hurricanes. Shout out Carolina Hurricanes there. Ducks, Red Wings, Pens, Blackhawks, whoop whoop, Boston Bruins, Kings. As you guys know, again, Blackhawks, Kings, Blackhawks, Pens, Caps, first one, Blues, and then the Lightning. Now, when hockey first started, it had the same issue, and honestly, NBA had this too. Is to where like when it first started, there were a few teams that really like dominated, like the Yankees did. It's like the Canadians there have a fuck ton of championships. Most of the Canadian teams have a lot of ships because like in the beginning, the rules it wasn't as balanced. I would say it's more like it's more like the domestic leagues in Europe now.
Right.
But it's once again, you see, you see a good spread of teams. You see a lot of parity there, and I'm sorry if this is boring to the listeners, but like this is proving the point. I'm playing devil's advocate, and maybe the European listeners, maybe you're learning something. Like I said, give us feedback, but we have parity here for the most part. And honestly, we all clamor. We want a salary cap in baseball. We even talked about it on our preview pod. Everyone wants a salary cap in baseball to make it fair. Now, and see, the thing is, and it goes back to FFP, financial fair play, is to where they try to implement this, but no one does. So that's where the governing bodies actually have to like govern. Like UEFA has to step up and actually prevent, like either stop teams from doing certain transfers or to say, oh, hey, you can't play European soccer and you can't win a domestic title for 2 years or something like that. Or to say, hey, you limit your transfers at 100 million or something like that. Even though some players have gone for like 150, so I was kind of using that as a loose number. But like whether it being setting a number, because the weekly wages, and that's how they're paid over there. They're a lot less than over here, and that's not where a lot of the expenditures come. It comes those transfer fees, bringing a player in, where it's 150 million euros just to even bring a player in, just to say, hey, this guy's gonna play for our team, and then you still have to pay that guy money. So that's where the exorbitant fees come from, and that's where you lose the competition, in my opinion, is when you just have teams that just throw their weight around. I mean, Arsenal broke their transfer fee record for Nicola Pepe, who they got the other year. He was around 72 million pounds. But I mean, Pogba was in the hundreds. Ronaldo was in the hundreds. Neymar was in the hundreds.
To Frank's point, he said it happened to Barcelona. They got banned from the transfer market for 2 transfer windows.
Yep. But it's like, Frank, it doesn't happen enough, and I think we can agree on that. Like, it's because Barcelona got caught with their hands in the cookie jar, and it's because there's a lot of idiots up top there. But Man City's never been caught, and they spend more than anyone else. And I imagine Frank's just shaking his head in agreement right now. Same with Chelsea. Chelsea just spent a shit ton of money this offseason in bringing in players. So it's never gonna change, like, honestly. And I guess that's the depressing part about the Super League, is to where it could have maybe represented a change, but maybe it failing, we get better domestic football now. Maybe the small guys band together and stick it to the big guys. I don't know. But what UEFA, I forgot to touch on earlier, I'm going to circle back real quick. What UEFA also included in the new Champions League, there's going to be elite clubs that get in there based on how, if they didn't qualify for the Champions or Europa League, they'll get on based on merit.
So that's called we need numbers, so we have to have these big teams in.
Yeah, and it's like, wow. So, and it goes back to where UEFA is essentially trying to do a Super League. Like, they're trying to do it the same thing, but they're just like, oh yeah, we want the money. They just wanted to be included on the Super League, and that's the only reason why they hated it. That's the only reason. So it's a little bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And now to wrap up the soccer, if you guys are ready.
Of course.
Let's do it.
All right, Champions League recap. Man City beat Dortmund 2-1, advancing on aggregate 4-2. Liverpool drew against Real Madrid, losing on aggregate 3-1. Chelsea will face Real Madrid on April 27th in the semis, with Man City taking on PSG. Wow. Those teams were part of the founding members of the 12.
Oh,
Wild stuff right there.
who would have
Holy
thunk
shit.
it?
Man, wild stuff. All right, Jose Mourinho. Fuck him. He's out as Tottenham manager. Fuck him. We really don't like him. He had a record of 44 wins, 19 draws, and 23 defeats there. His contract was set to expire in 2023. No details have yet been released on how much he's being paid to leave. Essentially an NBA buyout. That's what he got. I mean, it's millions of dollars to not coach there anymore. So, fuck him. But, hey, get them paychecks, son. Get them paychecks.
He gonna get paid.
Yep. And then when I talk about the Slavia Prague here, have you guys clicked on that little Twitter link I sent there?
No, I will right now.
Click on
Yeah.
that nice little Twitter link there while I'm talking here. Arsenal beat the shit out of Slavia Prague 4-0 in Prague to advance to the next round of the Europa League, and will actually face Villarreal, who are held by former Arsenal manager Unai Emery, who was actually fired and replaced by Mikel Arteta. They're going to play on April 27th. This game was a huge deal, and I touched upon it a little bit earlier. A Slavia Prague player was accused of saying racist words to a Rangers FC player during the match. Like, literally went over to him, said it in his ear. It started a huge fight. He was only suspended for 10-match suspension. It was kind of bullshit. Now, the Prague players, in defiance of this heinous, air quotes there, match suspension, joined arms at the circle. Joined arms. And a lot of EPL teams have been taking a knee, no room for racism. You'll see it on their sleeves and everything like that. The Arsenal players took a knee. The refs took a knee as well, leading up to the kickoff. And you saw in that little video, Alexander Lacazette looks like a man with his hair on fire, just staring at those guys. You can see the hate in his eyes that he has for those fuckheads across the way. And guess what? Only black players scored for Arsenal against Slavia Prague. It's a double fuck you to Slavia Prague. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You got fucked. Fuck you forever. No one fucking likes Shaw. So fuck them forever. All right, on to some other news here. Man U beat Granada 2-0 to advance on aggregate 4-0 and will face Roma in the next round, also playing on April 27th. Now, you're saying, Brendan, are those two other founding members in the semifinals of the Europa League?
I
Why?
cannot believe it. I am
Man.
so surprised.
This is wild stuff, Brendan. Thank you for pointing that out. Arsenal played like crap when back in their Premier League action, drawing against Fulham 1-1 with a very late goal from Eddie and Nketiah there. Fulham's going to be relegated, so Arsenal should have played much, much better. They're next going to place Everton here on April 23rd. And that's going to be Arsenal's first game since the Super League announcement, so we'll see if anything's going to happen. When Liverpool took on Leeds United the other day, there were Earn It shirts. I think it was like Earn It shirts that Leeds left in Liverpool's locker room before the game and everything like that. As a little tongue-in-cheek thing and saying, trying to get out of UEFA Champions League. But I digress. Well, I'll include this Wolves note for the last time, I guess, since Ryan's no longer a Wolves fan. Did you buy a hat or something, Wolves hat?
I mean, yeah, it was like a $20 hat, but my love of football teams over there is a little fluid. I'm kind of a hussy.
Ah!
Oh my!
Well, so this is the last time we'll include the Wolverhampton Wanderers, a.k.a. the Wolves here. So shout out to them. And check out their Twitter.
Only Wolves I need in my life right here, baby. The Chicago Wolves.
There you go. Wolves continued their winning ways against Sheffield United the other day. 1-0, officially relegating, that word's coming back up, the Blades for next season. The Wolves take on Burnley next on April 25th. And I think that wraps up the longest ever segment we'll have on soccer here, ever.
100%. That was fantastic. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the Super League and everything that happened, obviously we didn't know that before the show, like all of a sudden it was going to be like, oh, now everybody's backing out of it. But like when it started breaking Sunday night and then into Monday, I was like, wow, this is everything right now. This is what the whole world was talking about. It was on CNN. It's all over the goddamn place, which is pretty crazy, right? And it really makes you, like, at least for me, it made me understand like how really American I am. Because I was like, man, all these people all around the world really care about this. And I'm like, here we are in America. And I'm just like, man, the Yankees fucking suck. This is cool. This is great. And I'm like, oh, well, there's a Super League going on over there. I'm like, nice. And then, like I said, it's a very topsy kind of, flimsy situation, because it's like I can see one way why it's bad, but at the same time, from a business perspective, I'm like, wow, this is great. You're gonna get way more eyes probably on the product because it's now becomes a one central league to go and see some of the best players in the world. But I understand it looks like it's not gonna happen, at least not right now. So that is interesting. BK, thank you for all that work you put into that. That was fantastic. You educated the people.
Hopefully.
Yep.
Send us your questions.
BK, if there was two things I remember, from you taking us to the pitch today, that it's fucking hot in a desert and fuck Slavia Prague. Like, if there's two takeaways that I have from that, obviously, BK, you killed it. I mean, in all honesty, in all seriousness, no, you killed it. But no, just how juvenile I am. Those are the two takeaways I have.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it is hot in the desert and fuck Slavia Prague.
Yeah, I mean, those are two things that you should know.
Oh, it's fantastic. Fantastic. As always, everybody, if you want to be a part of the shows, you want feedback, you have questions, maybe it's about the Super League, maybe it's about soccer in general overseas, maybe it's for the weebisodes, maybe it's for the gaming episodes, maybe it's for the Mortal Kombat movie coming out. I don't know, but leave a voicemail or text the show at 815-556-9089. Make sure you leave your name or a nickname too, so I know who we're talking to. Also, make sure you follow the show on Twitter and Instagram. It's at AmNationPod on both of those. On YouTube, search Amalgamation Nation and hit that sub button. Podcast platforms, you can listen to us Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and more. When you're there, follow the show on those. If you can leave a review and rate us, that's also awesome as well. For merch, it's teesprings.com/store/amnation-undead Red Bull. You can find a description down below in the podcast episode, also down below on twitch.tv/undead Red Bull, where David streams throughout the week. We stream with him Tuesdays and Thursday nights. We talked about that earlier in the show. He was at Wrigley tonight cheering the Cubs to a victory, so that's pretty cool. We'll be back Thursday night for the gaming show, and we also have a cool announcement that day as well, so make sure you tune in there. You could either tune in on our Facebook, our YouTube, or not our Facebook, I'm sorry, that's my Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, or on twitch.tv/undead Red Bull for all of that. I think that wraps up the show, everybody. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, if you have any questions, tweet us or leave us a voicemail, text us, all that good stuff. Everybody, as always, be kind to one another, love one another, and stay